He originally was a basketball player from when he was 4, and then my second son wanted to wrestle, and so Jack, we all went to support him, and Jack said to my husband, "Do you think I could do that?" And he ran out in his jeans and socks, and he's been doing it ever since.
That's why wrestling's amazing, because if I was like a baseball player or a basketball player, I would never be able to do what I do.
He just turned 16. You know, we graduated him from the pediatrician to, you know, my doctor. And so doing that, he did a physical, did an eye chart. And there, he couldn't read the chart out of one of his eyes. So we were waiting on an appointment with an optometrist, and when he finally got in there, they sent us right to the emergency room. He has swelling in his optic nerve.
I was like patient 0 at the hospital. They had no idea what was wrong with me.
They did all of it, spinal taps, everything. Why is this happening? And they cleared him of anything major as far as like with his brain. Then they did the follow-up, and it was months of, they didn't know. They couldn't figure it out. I remember being in an appointment with him and the doctor saying, there's this one very rare thing called LHON. You know, it's super rare, but we're gonna rule it out. I'll test for it, we'll rule it out. We'll rule it out through genetic testing. And I picked him up from school. I talked to him and I said, you know that possibility of that test coming back? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, it came back positive for LHON.
I was extremely worried about his future. We were just coming off of, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and so we were just coming off of my recovery from that, and we get Jack's diagnosis. So it was kind of like a 1-2 punch for our family.
My vision, like, it depends on what I do. So like not getting enough sleep, eating the right things, stress, like that all influences it. So I have good days and bad days. Some days are really good and I can see a lot better, and some days, like, especially when I wrestle, like wrestling affects it a lot, it makes it a lot worse. So some days are really bad.
He's like, I only have 2 questions. Will this affect my children someday? And can I wrestle? And I told him, yes, you can wrestle. I don't know if you're familiar, but there's a rule called the touch rule, and he used that for a long time because, you know, what we saw in his matches at States his junior year, he didn't see shots coming. He really almost hurt his knee really badly. And so that spring, we started having him in contact when he was wrestling. He was struggling with seeing the clock, seeing the out of bounds lines. His vision was going from, he obviously started at 20/20, and when it went to both eyes, his vision would be as bad as 2400, you know, 2200 being legally blind. That year he got his National Honor Society, all while going through all this. He worked hard. He worked hard. He didn't let anything slip.
His 3rd place match, so before it started, my husband and I were as close as we could possibly be. And, you know, before it started, we just looked at each other and said, you know, this is it. We know that this is his last high school match. He won, and I might cry, but he won and looked at his coach, who has been there for him through my diagnosis, he tragically lost a friend through all of this, right? He had like 3 major things that happened. And, you know, they just kind of did one of these at each other. And to me, like, that kind of encompassed his year.
First match in college, inter-squad match. Could you just take me through what, like you said, kind of put a bow on it in terms of getting to that level, the culmination of all the hard work?
I mean, we went last year to watch, and he was a recruit. So, you know, I walked in going, wow, like a year went by, like nothing. And he called and said, I'm gonna wrestle an All-American. I'm like, oof. You know, like, okay. But he goes, I'm so excited. You know, he loves a challenge, right? So there's a lot of reasons why I'm proud of Jack. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons I'm proud of Jack. I think it's one of those things where as a parent, you try your hardest to inspire your children. But Jack turned around and inspired me. So, and a lot of other people. So I could not be prouder of him.